It's time to get ready for Rams week. It's Locked On Cardinals, the team adding some cornerback depth. And also, what's the unsung hero for the Arizona Cardinals? We're getting into that right on this episode. Locked On Cardinals, part of your Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily Arizona Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Rise up, Red Sea. It's officially Rams week. We turn the page from week 3 to week 4, and the Arizona Cardinals take on the Los Angeles Rams in the first showdown of the NFC West against their rivals, trying to take off that monkey that is Sean McVay off their back. It's got to happen if the Arizona Cardinals want to go the direction that they want to go. That's contend for a playoff spot. That's contend for an NFC West division title. And it's going to go through Los Angeles on the road at SoFi Stadium. Bo Brack hanging out with you, Alex Clancy. We're going to get into some power rankings. We're going to get into the Arizona Cardinals signing a cornerback off the street. Is he going to help against this Rams passing attack? And we're going to answer the question, the cliffhanger that we had on yesterday's episode. Rams offense versus Cardinals offense. Which one would you rather ride with? The team, you're going to hear from Kyler Murray later today. Also, you're going to hear from Cliff Kingsbury. It's Wednesday. They both talk. You'll have takeaways. We'll have that on tomorrow's episode. But, man, it is officially time to see the true test of the Los Angeles Rams, Alex.
Yeah, and we're doing everybody that watches and follows, thank you to everybody, a disservice by not using Cliff a little bit more. Like with Cliff Kingsbury using the double entendre or whatever it is to have some sort of pun relationship here with Cliff Kingsbury and the amount of times we use Cliff. Yeah, dude, I'm stoked for this game. I mean, this is you want to play the best. You want to find out. And for better or worse, we're going to find out on Sunday at 1:05 on the road, SoFi Stadium, jam-packed LA crowd, what this Arizona Cardinals team is made of. And we're going to talk about a lot of stuff throughout between now and when the Friday ends. But there's so many storylines here that could have real resonating effects for the rest of the season for both of these squads.
Right.
Like whoever wins goes to 4-0 and has a pseudo stranglehold. It has a leg up on that playoff spot. You're definitely going to get one coming out of the NFC West. And if you start 4-0 in this division, sweet mother, and that's a hell of a start. I
think you'd be hard-pressed to find any 4-0 team that missed out on the playoffs. You'd have to find, look through the record books and, shame on us for not looking that up. But I think you would, like I said, you'd have a tough time finding a team that comes out of the gates that hot and doesn't win itself a playoff spot. Didn't the Cardinals do that? I think they may have with Kevin Cobb. They might have gone 4-0 and then dropped seriously 11 or 12 straight. I'm almost positive that happened during the Ken Wizen era, but very rarely does it happen, especially when you get wins against a team like the Los Angeles Rams. The Arizona Cardinals first in points per game in the NFL, and then you have the Rams just behind them at third at 31.7, and then points against, you see the Rams in the top 10 against that, the Arizona Cardinals 11th. So these are two pretty balanced teams. These are teams that are doing on both sides of the ball. Now, the Arizona Cardinals defense has looked good in 2 of the 3 games, not so much in the Vikings game. And I think that the Rams defense probably would have liked to perform a little bit better against Carson Wentz and the Indianapolis Colts in week 2. So, 2 out of 3 solid performances. The Rams absolutely just rolled the defending champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And, before we get into the power rankings, before we get into the signing of Quinton Dunbar and another intriguing potential free agent for the Arizona Cardinals, you had the old Cliff with a K cliffhanger yesterday, Rams offense versus Arizona Cardinals offense. And, the before the season answer is a little tougher for me now after seeing the Arizona Cardinals through 3 weeks of the season. But that with the caveat that they haven't played exactly, the like a stifling defense.
Yeah. I mean, and I prefaced it before the cliffhanger yesterday that we're removing everything. This is no referees, no coaches, no nothing. This is 11 on 11 Field of Dreams style. Like which offense do you trust more? I mean, you got to think that pound for pound, Kyler Murray is the best player on the field the majority of the time that he's on the field. Unfortunately for this, a little wrinkle is that Matthew Stafford is the kryptonite of the Arizona Cardinals. Like over the last couple of years, even though they tied in 2019 in week 1, Matthew Stafford was ripping that defense apart. Obviously, much better defense now. Obviously, a much better team now. 2019, Kyler Murray may have been the best offensive player that the Lions had with the 3 picks that he threw a couple times deep into the Cardinals zone that set up easy scores. I'm still gonna take the Cardinals. I mean, especially with Darrell Henderson hobbled, we don't know what Sony Michel is going to be. I still think the 2 best players on the field are Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins, and they're both wearing Cardinals uniform. Now, depth-wise, who you trust-wise, Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp are both wide receiver 1s. They are. I mean, Cooper Kupp is obviously the apple of Matthew Stafford's eye so far, but Robert Woods is a beast. Robert Woods will eat this defense up, and he has in the past. So you can't sleep on him. Deshaun Jackson is good for a 50-yard touchdown catch once every 4 games, which has to be respected. But I'm still taking the Cardinals here, right?
Yeah,
I mean by a hair.
I think the Arizona Cardinals, and this is one thing that I think the Rams are going to lose out to a lot of teams, is just beyond the stars. Like their depth they're not as deep as everybody. Sure, their stars are legitimate, bona fide studs, right? Aaron Donald, probably the best pound for pound player in the whole entire league. You've got Jalen Ramsey, who's playing at an absolute, just a top tier level as far as cornerbacks go. And then Matthew Stafford, since making the switch, and Cooper Kupp, as he mentioned, probably the best wide receiver right now. But, I think that the Arizona Cardinals, as far as their depth, when you go wide receiver core versus wide receiver core, sure, it's top heavy on the Rams, and the Arizona Cardinals certainly have that with DeAndre Hopkins. But then I love what the Arizona Cardinals have been able to do so far through 3 games in utilizing A.J. Green, utilizing Rondale Moore, and also Christian Kirk, who's the best slot receiver in the game right now statistically. So I think the Arizona Cardinals might be a little bit deeper. Higbee, of course, you give the edge at tight end. I think he's playing – he's a lot bigger a playmaker than obviously Max Williams. And then the offensive line. Before the season, people are going to jump and say, hey, it's the Los Angeles Rams. But keep in consideration that Kyler Murray's been sacked just 5 times through 3 games, and he's been hit just 7 times. He's been relatively clean through 3 games.
Yeah. And I mean, the thing is, and obviously, listen, it has to be said, okay? It's not a wet blanket thing. The pass rushes haven't been fantastic that the Cardinals have faced. This is going to be a litmus test for this offensive line, for Kyler Murray's elusivity behind the line of scrimmage, and the ability to extend plays when you have probably the best non-quarterback in the NFL year after year wearing 99 for the opposing team the Cardinals are playing on Sunday. Having said that, what we're looking at with Kyler now is he's found the perfect mix of throwing the ball away, being able to run to evade defenders, and also, and not take unnecessary sacks. Year 1, it was taking sacks because he didn't want to throw interceptions. Year 2, it was throwing the ball away, throwing interceptions to evade sacks. And he's kind of found the middle ground now, which is great. So the numbers are actually more true to what we're watching than being outliers for him. He hasn't thrown a lot of interceptions, but yeah, he got sacked 5 times because he wouldn't get rid of the damn ball. We're kind of finding the middle ground now, which is great. Let's just see, as you mentioned, what this pass rush of the Los Angeles Rams can do, and if the Cardinals' offensive line that's looked incredible so far, especially Rodney Hudson, if they'll be able to stand up. This is, again, a true 1-53 test for the Arizona Cardinals on the field on Sunday, and it's going to be great to see exactly where the Cardinals are up against one of the best in the NFL. It's going to be great.
For the NFL, obviously, on the marquee for Week 4 is going to be Patriots, Tom Brady, and the Bucs. Right? That's going to be the popcorn game. But this one, I mean, you can't find 2 quarterbacks playing at a higher level right now than both these guys, Kyler Murray and Matthew Stafford. And then the wide receiver core, I mean, Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, Van Jefferson, Deshaun Watson, and then you've got DeAndre Hopkins, A.J. Green, Christian Kirk, Rondale Moore. I mean, that right there, that's the price of admission. That's the reason that the rest of, non-Cardinals fans and non-Rams fans should be tuning into this game. And then the big difference maker is going to be which defense can make a stop in this contest. So we argued the offenses. You gave yours. You said pretty definitively, you feel like you take out the referees, take out did you remove your boy Cliff Kingsbury from this equation? You're just going talent on offense?
Yeah, I don't know who you're talking about until Tuesday.
Until Tuesday. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're removing the play callers. You just think that as far as talent on offense, the Arizona Cardinals have the edge. Where I think
Yeah.
it is very equal here. And I will give the edge because I think that Kyler Murray's ability to make plays with his legs gives them the edge there. And then just as far as depth on the wide receiver core, I think they've just got a little bit more at the back end, more so than the Rams. The defense, let's get into that conversation here on Locked On Cardinals, part of your Locked On Podcast Network. Also have power rankings and the Arizona Cardinals signing a cornerback. Is he going to help add some depth to that group for the first time this season? And could we see him as early as Sunday? We'll get into that conversation, Alex.
Yeah, it's interesting. We talked about this line at betonline.ag. It's 5 now. So it's so interesting what we're going to see. It's Tuesday, it's Wednesday, so there's 96 hours before kickoff or right around there. So this may jump. It's wild seeing the line shift towards in the Cardinals' favor, meaning that it's great that public money is looking at the Cardinals saying, you know what, they are better than a 6-point dog on the road. Regardless of what you think, you go to betonline.ag. It's your number one spot for all pro and college football action this season. They've got a new updated site and interface. They got more odds, props, and contests. They got everything. BetOnline.ag continues to be the number one source for everything football. So what are you doing? Go to the website right now or use your mobile device to sign up today and receive your 100% welcome bonus with promo code NFL100. Football, WNBA playoffs going on, boxing, Vegas casino games, whatever. Don't wait to take advantage of everything betonline.ag has to offer. Again, go to the website or use your mobile device today to receive a 100% welcome bonus on your first deposit using promo code NFL100. BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts.
We also have an incredible app to tell you about. It's the Get Upside app. Anybody who buys gas needs to know about it. Get Upside. Our listeners are making up to 25 cents for every gallon of gas every time they fill up. Just download the Get Upside app in the App Store or Google Play right now. Use the promo code TOUCHDOWN, and you can get a bonus 25 cents per gallon on your first fill up. That's 50 cents cash back on your first fill up with Get Upside. Don't pay full price at the pump anymore. Get cash back using Get Upside. Just download the app for free. Use the promo code TOUCHDOWN. Get 50 cents per gallon cash back on your first tank. Some people who drive a lot, they're making upwards of $200, $300 a month in cash back. There's no catch. It's just as easy as getting the app, downloading Get Upside, adding it to your bank account. You can cash out anytime. No fees, no nothing. PayPal or e-gift card, they'll give it to you. And that form, Amazon, other brands, just download the free Get Upside app. Use the promo code TOUCHDOWN. Get 50% per gallon cash back on your first tank. Touchdown for the new Get Upside app. Locked On Cardinals, part of your Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Bo Brack, Alex Clancy, thank you so much for making Locked On Cardinals the first thing you're tuning into each and every day. Watching the YouTube premiere each and every morning at 10, downloading the podcast, Apple Podcasts, following along at Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. A big thank you to each and everybody who tunes in, hits us up on Twitter. We're up over 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, and that is not something that we expected to hit at this point in the game, but yet we are here and we're forever grateful. And since we have 1,000 subscribers and a bunch of listeners now, I hope everybody will join me in giving a belated happy birthday to the hot take king, Alex Clancy at Clancy's Corner. Happy birthday, buddy.
Thank you. Feels good. 38 feels weird. Always older, more mature than Bo. If you ever need any sort of advice, I'll be the elder statesman. Just, appreciate that hairline before it's gone.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. You're going to be 78 flipping years old, and your hairline's going to go closer to your nose than the back of your head. It's crazy, but I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Nope. Huge piece of this podcast and all of its and man, we're just we're happy that we get to. I'm grateful that we get to sit down and talk Cardinals each and every day, and the conversations that go beyond that, text threads and all that stuff. So thank you and happy birthday, man. I hope you had a couple cold ones to celebrate. So the Arizona Cardinals signed Quinton Dunbar the other day. This is a guy that, as far as his coverage skills, not good lately. He had a couple good seasons in D.C. with Washington, struggled mightily in Seattle, and then also you had a cup of coffee with the Detroit Lions in the preseason, he didn't make it that far. A Lions group that is desperate for cover people, and he couldn't make that squad. So the Arizona Cardinals adding depth. Any thoughts on this signing? I don't expect big things from Quinton Dunbar.
Seems like a Jonathan Joseph signing that we had last year, even though it was later on. It seems like, I'd almost rather they have brought back Drake or Patrick. At least he knows the defense. But Quinton Dunbar's younger, and for a minute, for a blip, he was a guy that you'd want on your roster. So anybody that has any sort of acumen in the cornerback room, whether it be to perform or to teach the young kids the NFL ways, at least Steve Keim is addressing it, kind of. It's like showing up 2 hours late to a party. At least they showed up. But, I think any move to bolster the locker room, regardless of cover numbers, I trust Vance Joseph and his strength at, the DB. The DBs has always been his strength, that he can make a little bit more than what we've seen out of Quinton Dunbar over the last year and a half or so. Whatever. It can't hurt. It's not going to hurt.
It probably won't hurt. It's unless he's out there and he's getting torched and he's thrown into some sort of, starting role for this team. But we've seen, I've been really pleasantly surprised. And somebody pointed this out. And that, is it true that do the Arizona Cardinals, do they not have a PI on the season through 3 games?
I don't know.
Can you think of a defensive pass interference?
No, I just remember all the offensive penalties that got us riled up, false starts and things like that. But
you had Pete who led the league last year in that penalty. And now I could be wrong. Obviously hit us up at Locked On AZ Cards if we are, or hit us up in the chat here on the YouTube channel. But that's pretty impressive this day and age. And I wouldn't be surprised to see that streak end potentially, as far as going up at this Rams team that likes to stretch the field and make plays. And if they don't make plays, see some yellow laundry out on the field in its place. So, but man, golf clap to Robert Alford and Byron Murphy Jr. and Marco Wilson, who I was watching some film. He was laying some wood, man. He is a cornerback, does not shy away from contact. You got to like that after what we watched the last couple seasons. So it's just, don't expect big things from Quinton Dunbar. He is a guy who had 4 picks just a season removed for Washington before they dealt him for a 5th round pick. He had all the off-field stuff where he had a boneheaded move where him and I think it was Chris Baker from the Giants, they got in some alleged armed robbery situation, and the guy just never got back on track with Seattle, and he was part of that historically bad defensive secondary. But that's the Arizona Cardinals' latest signing, according to Ian Rappaport. I'm sure it will go official today. Real quick, because it is week 4, and we were talking about the offense, the defensive side of the football for both these teams coming up. Rams, Cardinals, who do you give the edge to?
Aaron Donald. And they are they're the poster child of top heavy. You have it's like drafting in a fantasy football draft where you get 2 first-round picks and then you don't pick again until the 6th round. It really is. Obviously, losing Josh Johnson was a big deal. Michael Brockers is fine, or Leonard Floyd is fine, but it's Aaron Donald. You have to double team Aaron Donald, which allows everybody else to look like superheroes because you have to double, if not triple team Aaron Donald to keep him from hitting your quarterback. And then Jalen Ramsey truly does lock down whoever he defends for the majority of the time. And we've seen DeAndre Hopkins have some success talking about pass interference against the Rams at home last year. I remember the first time they looked at DeAndre Hopkins streaking down the sideline, pass interference on Jalen Ramsey. You don't have to complete a pass with pass interference. Jalen Ramsey's a handsy dude. There are ways around it, but if you look at the 2 best defenders at their position, they both play on the Rams. So it's hard to say that the Cardinals have a better defense, maybe a little deeper, but there's not one person on the Cardinals defense that you'd take over Aaron Donald or Jalen Ramsey. Is that right?
Probably not.
Just as a player at their position, not depth-wise, not pass rush as an entity or Budda Baker or whatever, but Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald are the 2 best defenders of their position in the NFL, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. And the Arizona Cardinals, they're going to go more flooded by numbers And I mean, we'll see. I mean, a big opportunity for Byron Murphy to show up and have a big game in this contest. I was watching the Manning broadcast with Eli Manning, Peyton Manning, where Eli threw up the double bird on that broadcast when talking to Chris Long. Just just a knucklehead move. But before that, they were talking to Matthew Stafford, and Matthew Stafford was he was talking about how, and this is kind of interesting because the Arizona Cardinals fit the mold of the defense that he said he likes to face. A defense that's going to blitz a lot, show you a lot of exotic looks, kind of be, I guess, very aggressive, obviously, but you don't exactly know what you're going to get. But with that comes chances for busted coverage, like we saw against Minnesota. Matthew Stafford would rather see that than maybe chance against like a traditional defense where you know what you're going to get, where you kind of know where guys are going to be, on the defensive line in the front seven, and you're just gonna have kind of stock coverages across the board. Where that's not what the Arizona Cardinals. So that's kind of interesting that he likes that, and that he's going to be looking for that busted coverage all game long, and then that's where the Rams will try to capitalize with the third most points in the NFL through 3 games.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, and I think I'm not sure if it's you that said this or somebody on one of our crossovers or something, but Cooper Kupp's like the best route runner in the NFL.
Yeah,
like him and Stephon Diggs and DeAndre Hopkins doesn't have routes. He just goes to a place and gets the ball. Like it's Cooper Kupp is a video game. If you see him run routes, Keenan Allen is in there, Justin Jefferson's in there, but Cooper Kupp, it's a beautiful thing to watch him run routes. And nobody's really on this team is going to burn you with their speed except for Deshaun Jackson. So yeah, I mean, if Sean McVay has a specific play called for a defense that he sees, whether it be masked or not, with a blitz package or something like that, they're going to eat. Like it's really going to come down to play calling against Sean McVay's offense versus Vance Joseph's defense. Because Stafford's right. I mean, the Cardinals haven't been a lockdown defense. They look great in Tennessee, but with week 1, there's only so much you can take away from it. They've played one great game out of the last 2 weeks, one half, the second half against Minnesota, and the first half against Jacksonville. But we don't really know what this defense is. So I don't think what Matt Stafford said is incorrect. It's just interesting. It's going to come down to play calling. I think a lot of that has to do with Sean McVay calling the plays for him, or being a part of that offense where he can have that confidence.
Yeah, he's got a play caller now, and McVay added the OC last season, and it seems to kind of be finding its stride this season, especially with the change at quarterback from from Goff to Stafford. All right, let's wrap things up here on Locked On Cardinals, part of your Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We've got our Locked On Network power rankings we're going to get to, but I got to tell you about the number 1 ranked, taste-wise, nutrition-wise, Built Bar. Built Bar is the best tasting protein bar, no doubt about it. They've got a limited time flavor that you have to try. It's cookie dough chunk. It's unbelievable. And if you don't want to try the cookie dough chunk, try one of their 9 delicious flavors you can always rely upon: coconut almond, cherry, raspberry, mint brownie, peanut butter brownie, double chocolate, and salted caramel. And here's the thing. They're just as healthy as they are delicious. 17 grams of protein, 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, and only 4 grams of net carbs. Just an unreal, just delicious tasting protein bar. Always fits the bill. We had our guy reach out to us on social media recently, hit us up at Locked On AZ Cards, saying he just wants to move to the United States so he can access Built Bar because it is only sold stateside and in Canada. So big apologies there. Maybe we'll figure a way to get you some Built Bar and you can shop our friends over at rockauto.com. But right now you can go to built.com. If you are stateside or in Canada, use the promo code LOCK15 and you'll get 15% off your first order. That's using the promo code LOCK15 for 15% off at built.com. All right. So
I love Built Bar. Like, I'm serious. Like, this is not something that we have to say. I mean, it is, but it's also something that we truly enjoy. That is something that's been around with us for almost since the beginning of the real expansion of the Locked On Podcast Network. Built Bar's been there since day one, and just get them. And in Phoenix, remember, there's a distribution center coming to Phoenix soon. So you're going to be able to get Built Bar a lot easier than most of the other states in the country. So just be on the lookout.
Right. Yeah. And instead of, I'm just going to buy more Built Bars so I don't have to ration them as much and I don't have to hide them from my wife. I was buying like competitor protein bars for cheaper and like just putting them in our pantry, and then she could eat those because I don't think she truly appreciates Built Bar for what it should be. So I'm just going to stop that. I'm just going to buy the Built Bars, use the promo code, and we're going to be good to go. All right. So the power rankings were out. The Arizona Cardinals staying steady at 8. They don't move up. They don't move down. 3-0 on the season. They're just ahead of the Raiders at 9. And then the Browns are ahead of them at 7. You've got the Packers at 6. They went up from 11 to 6th. And then you have the Chiefs, who are 1 and 2 at 5th. Ravens, pretty high risers in this game, which is kind of interesting. They're 2-1. They needed a 66-yarder off the crossbar to bounce in for them to beat the Detroit Lions. But hey, you guys do you, and you vote the Ravens to jump up 5 spots to 4th. Apparently, that's a top 5 team with Hollywood Brown dropping touchdown pass after touchdown pass. You got the Buffalo Bills at 3 and the Bucs at 2, and then the Los Angeles Rams, the Arizona Cardinals' next opponent, at number 1.
Yeah. This is better. Can you put that back up real fast? So This is better than the Cardinals being at 3. I love this. It's great. It's not even bulletin board material. It's just indifference, which is great. There's not added pressure. There's so much pressure in that locker room right now going into Sunday. Not that they have to win, but you have to save, like, they can't go in and lose 34-3. Because it won't lose momentum, but it'll just show where they are in the true power rankings of the NFL. Now, really quick, and then you can pull it back. You got to give the Ravens, you got to give Lamar Jackson specifically credit for the last 2 weeks. He threw a beautiful ball on 4th and long to set up that 750-yard field goal from Justin Tucker. Okay, he threw a beautiful ball. And then you can pull it now. Like he went and
on 4th
he
and
beat.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, it was a beautiful ball. It was a blown coverage, but it was a beautiful ball over the corner. What he did against Kansas City, that's enough for me to be a Lamar fan. What he did against Kansas City, bringing them back, winning that game, is just, you see a different kind of warrior in him this year. He's still not a good passer of the football. Like, I don't know. We don't have to talk about. Come on, like let's be real here. Let's call it what it is. He's a great NFL quarterback. Okay, but traditional, he is not. So, but I mean, I think that everybody ahead of them, it's fine. Like, you can make a case for it. The Cardinals aren't being, they're not 15.
Can I poo-poo that for a second?
Sure.
I mean, they should have been called for, the Ravens should have been called for delay of the game before the kick from Justin Tucker. Should have been a 71-yarder instead of a 66-yarder.
Okay.
And then the week before, wasn't it Clyde Edwards-Helaire that coughed up the football as
Fumblerooski
they were driving at the end of the game. So the Ravens potentially could be 0-3, and they literally snuck past the Detroit Lions, who, if you look at this power rankings, and rightfully so, they're 28th. I don't know how they're 28th. I don't know how they're ahead of the Texans, but they're 28th. They're a terrible football team, but yet I guess the Ravens, I don't know. People have a lot of respect for what John Harbaugh and Lamar Jackson and the Ravens are doing. I'm just, we'll see. I mean, they choked that game away against the Raiders. They could very well be 0-3, but they're 2-1. The Arizona Cardinals, I think 8th is good, but if they win this weekend, boy,
they're going to be 3.
How high? Yeah, I mean, if they beat the Rams, who to improve to 4-0, I mean, they definitely better be better than the Ravens. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, you could make a case for them to be the top team if they're knocking off the Rams, who knocked off the Bucs. We're just playing that game.
Now, let me ask you a question. So, what I just need to see where San Francisco is. The 49ers and Seahawks play each other. I know we got to get out of here, and this is a Cardinals podcast, but this I'll bring it home. I promise. Seattle's 1-2. San Francisco is 2-1. Who do you want to win that game? Would you rather they both be 2-2, and if the Cardinals lose, they're only 1 game out, or have San Francisco win? San Francisco's like, Russell Wilson is the best player of those 6, however many is 106 players on game day. Russell Wilson's the best player. So would you rather them be 1-3 and have the, inferior roster be 3-1, or split the difference?
I think you'd rather see the Seahawks get buried a little bit.
Okay.
I think the way you kind of knock it down. So now instead of having to get past 3 other teams, you only have 2 other teams that you have to stay ahead of as far as the division is concerned. If you can just toss dirt on old Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll early on and make their struggle, their battle, their uphill, even further uphill, then do it. I think you'll take that, no doubt about it. And I don't think the Seahawks beat the Niners, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't, and who the hell knows? Like these things, interdivision, it just gets weird. But and then the Cardinals have the 49ers at home in week 5.
Yeah.
So say the Cardinals win. Okay, they're 4-0. San Francisco wins, they're 3-1. Then the Cardinals face them. Like if the Cardinals win the next 2 weeks, we're having a completely different conversation. Not just because they start 5-0.
Yeah.
But because they are 3-0 on the road and 2-0 in division.
We're getting way too far ahead of us.
But I'm just saying, like, the possibilities, like, this is stacked up with how the schedule is to be like, holy like, the Cardinals would be 5-0, 2-0 in division, potentially.
Yeah. But we got a big game before that even happens. It's the Los Angeles Rams. Our guy Sosa Cremenges tomorrow on Lockdown from Lockdown Rams, one of the more dialed-in hosts on this network. He's going to join us, and he's not going to pull any punches. It's going to be a fun conversation between the 3 of us talking about this huge contest between a pair of 3-0 teams, some high-powered offenses, and some very talented defenses coming into play in SoFi Stadium in L.A. on Sunday. Can't wait to really break this thing down, deep dive it with a crossover Thursday right here on Locked On Cardinals, part of your Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And betting on the NFL should never be a guessing game because out there is a 10-minute podcast that will lock you in, dial you in to help you build your stack. It's the new Locked On Bets podcast hosted by your boy Q and handicapping expert Lee Sterling. To get daily picks, blowout specials, wrong team favorite picks, and Lee Sterling's Lock of the Day. Follow the Locked On Bets podcast brought to you by betonline.ag, wherever you get podcasts. For Alex, I'm Bo. Follow along on Twitter at LockedOnAZCards, at Clancy's Corner, at BOBRACK. Wish Alex a belated happy birthday. And, of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Locked On Cards. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. We'll talk to you Thursday.